Welcome back to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you news and content surrounding childhood sexual abuse. If it's your first time to this channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you like the content that I share, please hit the thumbs up button and share with anybody that you know, because even in 2020 we still need to be raising awareness about childhood sexual abuse. And in honour of that, today and for this week, from the 3rd to the 9th of February, is National Awareness Week for Childhood Sexual Abuse. And in this video today, I'm going to share with you just some facts about childhood sexual abuse. Some of them you may already know. If you do know them already, maybe you can share them with friends and family. Please forward on this video to anybody else that you know, but please just continue to raise awareness because I'm sure that you will agree it is really important. So according to the National Association of Survivors of Abuse, there are 42 million adult survivors in the USA alone. That is an absolutely shocking and horrendous number. And I believe actually, even with statistics and facts that are shared around this information to do with the amount of people that have experienced childhood sexual abuse, I believe the number could be a lot higher just because of the secrecy and the shame and everything that comes along with this experience. A lot of people do choose to keep it to themselves. The National Sex Offenders Registry in America have said that on average in a lifetime a paedophile will commit 117 crimes. 90% of childhood sexual abuse is committed by someone the child knows, loves or trusts. This statistic has been quite consistent amongst all different types of research that has been done. Stranger danger is a myth. This is something that I've talked about many times in raising awareness and the work that I've been doing over the last decade, because from research which has been consistent across the board by many different organisations that have done their research and employed different people to do research like university researchers, it consistently shows that a high amount of sexual abuse in childhood is committed by someone the child knows, loves or trusts. Everybody has this kind of image that it's the man with the dirty beard and the Mac in the park, probably looking a bit like Jimmy Savile, that commits this type of crime. They're just in the park lurking, waiting for children. If you really look at the statistics for this, the proportion of crimes committed by a stranger is very, very small. Again, as I said, 90% of childhood sexual abuse is committed by someone the child knows, loves and trusts. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18. Also, in relation to sexual abuse of male and females in childhood, girls are more likely than boys to be sexually abused in childhood. It doesn't make it any less damaging. We know the damaging effects that it can have on girls and on boys. There has been research that has shown that victims of childhood sexual abuse rarely do disclose at the time of the abuse happening, and obviously that is for many different reasons. The child could be confused about what's happening to them, may not know what to say, could be sworn to secrecy. There's so many different dynamics that plays out in a child victim scenario. There are some children that do speak out at the time, but this tends to happen a little while later. And even with other research, it has shown that on average adult survivors can disclose sexual abuse up to 20 years plus later. And we've seen the laws that have been changed recently with the statutes of limitations in America, and even over here with the criminal injury compensation boards that have started to take this into account. It does take a victim of childhood sexual abuse longer to open up and talk about what's happened to them, or even to disclose it, just because of all the different dynamics. 5 children every day die of childhood sexual abuse. I'm sure that it is even more than that. Even in some of the other videos I've recently done on this channel about sexual abuse of young girls who have died because of their injuries. This is obviously a well-known fact, but it's not really reported, and I don't know why that is. It has real-life horrific consequences. But yes, children do die of this trauma. It is not something that is really talked about, but we need to talk about this more because it is actually showing the real consequences. Besides the psychological effects that it can have on a victim, the real physical aspect of how sexual abuse can destroy a life. 95% of childhood sexual abuse is preventable through education and awareness. Now, this is something that continues to baffle me, because when I have spoken to teachers in school over here in the UK, they have lessons that are called PHSE lessons, and when I've spoken to a few teachers over here to ask them if childhood sexual abuse prevention is taught or awareness is taught, because that would be the lesson in where children would be taught about this subject, a lot of them have said no, they don't really discuss this topic. They really just do an overall view of CSC or internet grooming or sexual abuse. It is not discussed as an in-depth topic for children in an age-appropriate way. It really makes me scratch my head when I read that, because obviously prevention is better than cure. If we were able to teach our children about what sexual abuse is, how to safeguard themselves, how to raise concerns if they have any about any adults or your older peers or older people in their life, I'm sure it would go a long way to a lot of prevention with childhood sexual abuse. Even with the underwear pants rule over here, the adverts that we have over here, we don't see them on the TV. I've yet to see them. You have to go on YouTube to actually watch the advert. It is just really frustrating to hear. It seems like they almost want to throw money away rather than putting money into systems that are going to teach children from young and educate them on sexual abuse. I do believe a lot more advertising could be done to raise awareness of childhood sexual abuse. I don't believe actually we will really ever eradicate childhood sexual abuse just because of the nature of people. This is another fact and statistic that it is costing millions and millions of pounds for treatment of those who have gone through childhood sexual abuse. We have survivors in the prison system, in mental health clinics, medication. These things cost money, and the one thing that the governments are not doing is paying and putting money into services that deal with specialised therapy or specialised group therapy for victims of childhood sexual abuse. It's something that I wrote about in my book, Choose Life. Some of the things I believe are solutions that can help with this problem. I'm going to do a video shortly about vulnerable groups who are susceptible to sexual abuse that people don't seem to talk about. There's not really enough awareness raised about these groups. One of these groups are children with disabilities. So according to the figures, more than 90% of people with developmental difficulties, children in particular, will be sexually abused at some point in their life. And 49% will experience more than 10 incidents in their lifetime. Now, when we think about the nature of paedophiles and how they operate, we know they like to slip in like chameleons into places where they are not detected. And the more respectable the position is, the more chance they will have of going undetected. Not just because of the role that they're in, but also as well because of the enablers and people around them who wouldn't believe, because of a title, that they would do something like that. Paedophiles will go into places where they have more access to vulnerable children. Unfortunately, it makes sense that they would go into places where they can access children with disabilities who may not be able to articulate their distress or articulate that something is going on, and they can use that as a perfect excuse and a perfect reason to abuse that disabled child. So that was just some quick facts in honour of Sexual Abuse Awareness Week, which is this week from February 3rd to 9th. Please share this video with anybody that you know, because awareness is really important. I will leave links to where you can get statistics in the description box below. Please do share them, please check them out for yourself, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.